What's going on, everyone? The market is at a very interesting spot here. People are either thinking the market is going to fall down to sub 400, or we're going to end up bouncing and making new all-time highs. So in today's video, I'm going to do my best to show you guys why both of those things can potentially happen and what needs to happen for either of them to basically happen. All right, so we're going to go over the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM, the large tech stocks, and the crypto market to get a better understanding of what is going on with these inside candles on the market. All right. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So number one this week, we have plenty of earnings once again. Monday, more banks. Tuesday is when things start getting a bit more interesting. So Netflix has earnings after the close, and Johnson & Johnson as well, IBM. And Wednesday is one of the first really big ones. We have Tesla after the close, as well as Procter & Gamble, Lam Research, among others. And then Thursday, we have Snapchat and American Airlines, AT&T. So things are going to get pretty interesting this week. And the next week, that's when most of the large tech stocks have earnings. So just keep that in mind. For this week and next week, it's earnings season, baby. Also, of course, in the free Discord server last week, we started off very choppy, had lots of losses, and then we ended the week off pretty awesome. As you can see, I share all of these trades live, completely free. If you guys want access to the best trading Discord community in the world, the link is going to be in the channel description. Go ahead and join, and let's get started with the rest of the video. All right, so the main thing that I'm looking at on the SPY is, remember the lower Bollinger Band. That was one of the, so basically it really moving upwards very quickly was one of the things that I was saying was going to be a good reason why the market would not continue falling. All right. But as we can see now, the lower Bollinger Band is starting to point lower, which is bad because so now the faster this lower Bollinger Band starts to point lower, the more vigorous the downward move can be before the SPY becomes overextended to the downside. All right. So now, for example, like basically what I'm saying is, say the lower Bollinger Band was increasing very fast, right? And we have a huge red day. So we're currently trading below the Bollinger Band here, right? This would be overextended to the downside. This would be very good for a potential bounce in the market, right? Because we want to buy things when we are algorithmically overextended to the upside or the downside. But since the lower standard deviation, which is the lower level of the Bollinger Band here, is starting to point lower now, that means that there's a lot more room to the downside. And as this value continues to fall lower, we have to just keep that, we have to just monitor this now. But as this value continues to fall lower, the worse it is going to be for the stock market. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That is not a good sign. If this starts rapidly falling, then we can expect some rapid price movements in the equity prices. So just keep that in mind. All right. We can already see that basically in the RSI, but you know, in terms of price action, truly the same levels really apply. Like above 440, 439, basically like we need to break above these highs here for continuation to the upside. But then as long as we are still trading below this 450 to 452 area, then things are still bearish. All right. Unless we reclaim this level, then we can start thinking about like our bias being bullish. But for now, our bias is bearish. Because we broke down below this level. A very key level now is going to be this zone here between 426 to basically 431, 426 to 430. So this is going to be very interesting on the SPY if we do fall lower, and it basically coincides very well with the this fib level right here. The 0.786% fib at 425.69. So this whole area is going to be very important. If we break down below that, then things can easily see sub 420 and then sub 415 once again on the SPY. But aside from that, the main things that we have to keep in mind are the lower Bollinger Bands are starting to fall lower. This is not a good sign, but we do have the MACD oversold, which means that there still could potentially be a bounce. And obviously, when the MACD crosses upwards and bounces, that should usually be a bullish sign. But this is a warning signal. So just keep that in mind. And there's that for the SPY. Let's take a look at the IWM. So the IWM strong reversal had a good day, and then we ended up bad, obviously, right? One thing that we need to look at on the MACD is we are about to cross above. So we are much closer to crossing above than the SPY and the NASDAQ in terms of crossing upwards here, okay? So when that is supposed to happen, it's supposed to be bullish. But just keep that in mind. The IWM has the highest potential to cross above on the MACD, the highest potential to be bullish moving forward. But especially now next week is the large NASDAQ tech stock earnings. So the NASDAQ should have the most strength in terms of bounce potential. Because usually what happens is stocks tend to bounce preemptively. So the day or the day before earnings are reported, stocks tend to run up. So that should cause the NASDAQ to do well also. So just keep that in mind. Once again, the lower level of the Bollinger Band is falling lower. And again, you know, this was one of the reasons why I was saying that there was going to be a short-term relief in terms of downward price action, because the lower Bollinger Band was moving upwards so dramatically. But now that it's starting to fall lower, it's not a good sign. So just keep that in mind. And there's really that for the IWM. Obviously, these same levels apply: 200, 201.50, 202. But, you know, we have to take it one day at a time. So things are not looking good in terms of the price action. But I'm gonna wrap it all up at the end of the video and basically talk about the bullish concept as well, because right now everything looks bearish, right? But the bullish case will be pretty interesting. So there's this for the IWM. There's not much else to talk about. Let's talk about the large tech stocks and then the NASDAQ. All right, rapid fire. So Apple, clearly bearish. Not a good candle. We made new lows. The MACD is oversold. Looks like it's about to cross upward, yet the indicators are bearish. All right. Tesla has earnings on Wednesday. Same concept, not the best close. Amazon, same concept. It does not look great, right? But now going into Microsoft and Google. Microsoft, once again, closed outside of the lower level of the Bollinger Bands, which is now showing that it's overextended to the downside. So keep that in mind. This MACD level is also extremely oversold. It looks like it's about to bounce upward. It looks like I'm going to have to change these colors on the MACD. But this is not the best sign for Microsoft. It shows that there could be more room to the downside, especially with this Bollinger Band. So look at the lower Bollinger Band level here. It says 280.54. All right. Look how rapidly now the lower Bollinger Band values are decreasing. So it went from 286 to 284 to 283.53 to now 280.54. So that was a 3-point move in a day. So that can potentially keep on going. So that's not bullish, right? So that's for Microsoft, and the same concept for Google. So initially the reasons, again, Microsoft, Google, and the Bollinger Bands were the main reasons why I was preemptively saying there was going to be a bounce, right? And that bounce ended up happening. But now we're breaking down the lows, and the Bollinger Bands are now moving in the opposite direction. So that's very, very bearish, right? So now that we have a better picture of what's going on with the tech sector and the large tech stocks, these are trillion-dollar companies. If they are going to be doing badly in terms of price action, they're going to affect the rest of the market, which is obvious, right? So now let's go ahead and take a look at the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ is at a very, very important zone here. Once again, 338 to 441. Very, very important. We basically closed right at that level. And 338 is going to be a very, very important level of support. Look at this, the indecision that we've had this whole week. I'm going to most likely say it was because of the holiday weekend. And also, you know, I'm expecting to have some sort of choppiness heading into early next week as well, maybe Monday and Tuesday. You can see the MACD is very similar to the SPY's MACD. But once again, the lower Bollinger Band is falling lower, which is not the best sign. All right, which means that as this continues to fall lower, so at 6 o'clock today, we're going to get the futures are going to open. So we're going to be able to see the updated lower Bollinger Bands to see how dramatically they're starting to fall lower. This is going to give a good indication of the price action for tomorrow. So we can look at the futures for the IWM, the NASDAQ, and the SPY, and we'll be able to see how the lower Bollinger Bands are calculated. So we're going to get a better understanding. So that's something that I'm looking at, and, you know, it's going to be very interesting to see. All in all, clearly, you know, lots of indecision, not really sure. This is Microsoft and Google are not bullish. The lower Bollinger Bands are starting to fall much lower now. Things look bearish, right? But now I'm going to talk about the crypto market, and then talk about, obviously I'm going to show that how the crypto market still looks bearish as well, but once again, it doesn't look all too terrible. All right, so there's that for the entire stock market. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Now I'm going to talk about the crypto market. All right, so just taking a look at Bitcoin. All right, obviously this doesn't look the most bullish, but there are a few things that could mean that we hold 39,000, or, you know, even if we break down to 37 to 38,000, that'll still be very bullish for the market as a whole. So anything basically, basically if we hold 39, it's bullish. And if we fall down and end up retesting and holding 37 to 38, it's still bullish, in my opinion. And the reason for that is because this MACD line. So this signal line, which is the slower moving line, you can see that it's falling lower, but now it's beginning to curl upwards. And the only way for us to have a bullish signal line, so when you look at it back here, the bullishness of the signal line started to move upwards, right? The only way for this slow acting line to start moving upwards is if this white line, the MACD line, really, really starts to skyrocket upwards. And that's something that we saw over here in February and also in March. The white MACD line really shot upwards, which caused the signal line to start being bullish as well. So that is something that needs to happen. And potentially that could happen if Bitcoin holds these levels here and starts to move and retest 4250, 42,500, and potentially even 43,000 up here to these levels over here. And if we can make it up here and hold above like 41,000 after doing that, we can continue on and retest 45. And that would cause this blue, or basically the MACD line, to really, really skyrocket upwards. This would cause the signal line to start to move upwards as well, which would be bullish. And basically would overall be very, very bullish for the market. But now, like, it's important to just have the other side also, right? That is the only real bullish case for what I think could end up happening in the market, is this essentially the way that this MACD line is situated at the moment. Right now, we are currently in a downtrend. We're stagnant at 39,600, which is, you know, obvious, right? We're going to see a big move, I believe, at 6 o'clock once the futures open. We should see general direction once that happens. But again, as long as we can hold above these, again, you know, the most ideal situation would be for us to break down to 37 to 38,000, and then from here, basically we'll reconsider and then go long. And this would coincide with this trend line pretty beautifully, and it would coincide with the zone that I've been talking about as well. So just keep that in mind. And then it would be very interesting to see how the RSI responds as well. So you can see the RSI is much lower a few days ago than it is right now. So if we were to break new lows and the RSI still remains lower than it was before, that would be pretty bullish. So it's going to be very interesting to see basically the next few days. Really, I mean, clearly it doesn't look that bullish, but if we can hold these lows, if you want to go long against these lows, and basically pray that the momentum works in your favor, that'd be great. But the entire stock market looks bearish, and the crypto market doesn't look great, but it's holding support. And the only thing now that is basically going to help is if this continues upwards. Now, looking at Ethereum, Ethereum is already also, it just crossed above also on the MACD. Obviously, it's not as far ahead in terms of crossing upwards as Bitcoin's was, but this is still very bullish. It's a bullish crossover, but we need to see if these levels of support hold. So there's that for the crypto market. You could also see the lower Bollinger Bands are falling lower also, which is not the greatest sign on Ethereum, nor is it a good sign on Bitcoin, which is another reason why having us fall down to this zone would be ideal. And yeah, that's basically it. You know, the lower Bollinger Bands were moving in accordance to basically what I was saying was going to happen with the stock market as well. And now the Bollinger Bands are starting to fall lower. Things don't look great, but that is the bullish and the bearish case. Overall, we're still heavily bearish on the market as long as we couldn't, as long as we can't reclaim this trend line on the market, on the SPY. But we'll be looking to buy dips around 37 to 38 on Bitcoin. So there's that. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want access to the Discord, make sure to go ahead and click the link in the bio and the description. Have an amazing Sunday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.